Hi, my name is Aliana Ramone from 1DVMB, and we're presenting Lesson 3, Eastern Philosophical Perspective on the Self. We are going to tackle perspectives from Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism.
Buddhism, like other religions, has its own take on the self. The notion of anatta is one of the most important distinguishing features of the religion's belief in one's own self. Buddhism was founded 2,500 years ago, founded by Siddhartha Gautama, where the concept of self is an illusion, and the basic doctrine of Buddhism is that existence is suffering. The Buddhism's god is called the Buddha, or the Enlightened One. The Buddha is credited with the majority of Buddhist views because of his teachings, practices, and principles. There are 5 aspects that are involved with Buddhism. These 5 aspects includes physical manifestation, sensation, conceptualization, disposition to act, and consciousness. Physical manifestation is the first skandha. It identifies as the matter that relates to the form of the body. It also has connection with the 5 senses of sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. The next one is sensation. Sensation is the second skandha, and it relates to the emotions and bodily sensations that emerge from the 5 senses from the first skandha in the physical manifestation. The third one is conceptualization. Conceptualization is the third skandha, which pertains to the perception. It enables the people to recognize items in the world based on their previous experience or knowledge. When you come into contact with it, it can also be accomplished by recalling earlier interactions or linking them with something familiar. Number 4 is dispositions to act. The inclinations to act are referred to in the 4th skandha. All volitional actions include the good, the terrible, the boring, and the wonderful are referred to as volitional actions. It is also known as the mental formations, and in a nutshell, it's a term that refers to the activities one takes with various levels of ethicality. Number 5, and lastly, is consciousness. Consciousness is the final skandha or the 5th skandha. It is derived from the 4 aggregates and refers to a person's knowledge of an object's attributes and characteristics, which includes both good and undesirable qualities and features. Consciousness, on the other hand, is neither an idea nor a sensation, as it is the 3rd skandha, nor is it a sensation in the 2nd. The next we have is the 8 paths to nirvana. The achievement of nirvana is the highest spiritual aim in Buddhism. In the eternal cycle of rebirth in samsara, nirvana refers to the blowing out of quenching of ends. So, here we have 8 paths of nirvana. The first we have is the right view. The right view may be referred to as the right understanding. The second one is right intention. It alludes to the selfless renunciation or detachment as well as ideas of love and peace. The third and fourth paths are right speech and right action. The right speech is a total abstinence from telling lies, and the right action is the moral and honorable, peaceful behavior are goals of right action. Sexual intercourse that is not legal, not only that, but it also encourages people to work together for the common good. Sixth one is the right livelihood. The appropriate career path requires one to work in a field that does not hurt others in the process. Number 6 is the right effort. The will of a person to prevent and avoid the emergence of ideas of evil and malice in one's mind is known as the right endeavor. Number 7 is right mindfulness. Being rigorously aware and attentive to the foundations of mindfulness or satipatthana, which is explained in a subsequent section, is a definition of the right mindfulness. And the last one is we have right concentration through meditation. In the second stage, all intellectual activity are suppressed, allowing the mind to remain calm and one-pointed, while still preserving feelings of joy and happiness. The 4 foundations of mindfulness. The first one is contemplation of the body, or known as kaya. The first contemplation recognizes the body as an amalgamation of various parts and not a unified entity. The second one is contemplation of feeling. Essentially, the awareness of feelings and sensations, such as the second contemplation is the contemplation of feelings. The word neutral can be used to describe any of the following: spiritual and worldly, manifesting, vanishing, or arising. The third one is contemplation of mind, or citta.
Hu Wei-ming believes in Confucianism. Confucianism is often characterized as a system of social and ethical philosophy rather than a religion. To attain selfhood within the communal act, how can I, in the midst of social relations, realize my selfhood and the heaven-endowed humanity? Understanding Confucianism, Tu Wei-ming has identified two aspects of the self: the self as the center of relationships and the self as dynamic process of spiritual development. But I happened to come across a dissertation of Tu Wei-ming and Confucianism, and this is his selfhood as creative transformation. The self as the center of relationships, Li, the self as dynamic process of spiritual development, Ren, and Junzi, profound person, fiduciary community, and filial piety, embodied knowing, Cheng, fourfold in human nature. But now we'll be focusing more on Li and Ren. Li as the center of relationships. According to Tu, Li, or ritual, is the externalization of Ren in a specific context. Li implies the existence of human relationships. For Tu, as a Confucian, the self and society are not separable. Society is conceived as an extended self. Confucian self-transformation must be manifested in the context of sociality, and Li points to a concrete manifestation by which one enters into proper relations with others. Tu conceives Li as a dynamic process of humanization, the self as a dynamic process of spiritual development. Ren. Tu understands the classical Confucian term Ren, benevolence or humanness, as the highest human achievement of self-cultivation and the fullest manifestation of humanity. A man of humanity, Ren, who embodies love in his daily life, represents the most authentic realization of human beings from Tu's Confucian perspective.
Taoism. Taoism is a Chinese philosophy attributed to Lao Tzu around 500 BCE, which developed from the folk religion of the people primarily in the rural areas of China and became the official religion of the country under the Tang Dynasty. Taoism is therefore both a philosophy and a religion. In addition, their beliefs are shaped by a long-held belief in cosmic equilibrium, which they hold and defend. Unlike Confucianism, Taoism believes that persons are an extension of the self and the Tao rather than an extension of society. Words that describes Tao, not a god, source of creation, ultimate, and way of nature as a whole. In contrast to Abrahamic religions, Taoism does not believe in a god, but it does believe that the Tao is the source of all existence. The Tao is an impersonal force that directs everything in the right direction, but Taoists do not worship it because it is not God. In traditional understanding, the Tao is neither a thing nor a substance. It is not visible, yet it can be seen in the world's objects. Tao is not a being in and or itself, despite the fact that it creates all entities. Wu Wei. Wu Wei means in Chinese, non-doing or doing nothing. It sounds like a pleasant invitation to relax or worse, fall into laziness or apathy. It doesn't think about it, it just does, and when it does, it doesn't appear to do much of anything, but things get done. The term that which is naturally so is used by one author to describe the state in which anything would happen if it were left to happen and evolve spontaneously without intervention or debate. Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang or Yin Yang is a complex relational concept of Chinese culture that has developed over thousands of years. Briefly put, the meaning of Yin and Yang is that the universe is governed by a cosmic duality, sets of two opposing and complementing principles of cosmic energy that can be observed in nature. In terms of balance, Yin and Yang are a symbol of opposing forces. The dark swirl, or yin, is associated with dark, passive, and feminine. Yang, on the other hand, signifies light, aggression, masculinity, and everything else except good and evil, life and death, because nature does not distinguish between good and evil, or even between existence and non-existence. Qi. Qi is usually translated as vital life force, but Qi goes beyond that simple translation. According to classical Chinese philosophy, Qi is the force that makes up and binds together all things in the universe. It is paradoxically both everything and nothing.
Inner nature, a person's true or internal mind, soul, or nature. A general sense, the holistic whole of our evolved being. In other words, to the amalgam of nature, genes, nurture, experience, and culture society that builds our personality or psychological profile. Hoff emphasizes the importance of one's inner nature in finding one's place in the world. To define one's worth and purpose in life, one must have a strong sense of self. As a result, if one is in a scenario that he or she does not like, it means that the environment is not the right fit for him or her. In addition, according to Taoism's teachings, no one can fool one's core nature. Many people, on the other hand, continue to resist their inner nature's will, clinging to the status quo and refusing to be satisfied. This conduct prevents one from properly comprehending oneself. Finally, according to Hoff, recognizing our inner character is also a sign of self-respect. Simplicity is a philosophy of Taoism that refers to a manner of living that just follows the flow of nature. With the growth of human knowledge, time seems to be passing by faster than it ever has in the past. You only live once. YOLO is a modern lifestyle that encourages people to follow their desires, whether they are in accordance with the law of nature. In order to be in harmony with nature, one must get rid of those ones which keep them out of balance in nature, see things in a more natural light, and merge with nature, which is the truest form of living simplicity, according to Taoist teachings. That type of simplicity, if you've been paying attention to how the universe revolves around you by now. Simplicity is also in accordance to things in their original simplicity contain their own natural power, power that is easily spoiled and lost when that simplicity is changed. Knowledge and relativity. Knowledge is always partial and affected by the standpoint of the person claiming that knowledge. Scholarly intellect may be useful for analyzing certain things, but deeper and broader matters are beyond its limited reach. There is also the way of resiliency. Resilience or resiliency is our ability to adapt and bounce back when things don't go as planned. The great nothing. Some things are just unexplainable, and that's okay because not everything needs to explaining. Why does a chicken? I don't know why.